take a moment here and clean a couple of brushes. My palette's nice and clean. Happy about that. Okay. We're gonna have to do some reconstructive surgery here. We have multiple ways of doing this. I'm not sure how dry this is on my canvas, but let's just see. Good. I just want to reset a couple of these areas, especially for the lights. All right. Just making a decision on what I want to keep and what I want to modify here. And then once we get going, we'll know. Probably going to do something like that. I like the way this is. The hair is basically there. Let's put that here to here. The eye is not going to be here. Nose is moving over completely. All right, now let's do, that sort of helps me just mentally visualize where things are gonna go, and we're gonna go back into value. So, if I compare this value with this value and with this value, we know that, let's start off for a moment and lay back in some pure white. Nice, bright. Let's get our value. Nice bright white. Clean color. Now that my palette's kind of clean, I can see this more clearly. Now there are some sort of orangey warms in there, but I don't care about color just this moment. I'll punch a touch of orange, or red, yellow, just a little bit. Someone out there had something, a color, it was like warm white or something. It was interesting. It's a nice color.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Just a little warmth in there. And I'm doing this because this is going to be my guide for values, to double check my values. Clean white here. I remember that. It's very, very white. Okay, now that I like that, let's move up for a second to, we can just pick really any areas. We have a lot of work to do here, so. Peripherally, looking at everything. Only for a moment do I stay in tunnel vision. Everything else is peripheral. Gauging how light this whole area is. Where are my lightest lights? Where are my darkest darks? How light to make it. And after I know the brightness of it, the value, only then do I decide what color. And the color has to live within that value. Good. Good. Okay. Happy with a little bit of that. Let's lay some serious flesh tones on here now. Basically just using whites, alizarin, a little bit of orange. We're going to brighten this up just a touch here too. Just a touch. So basically just a little red and yellow. A little bit darker. Oh, I'm painting over everything. It's fine. Resetting this whole area. And I'm just putting down kind of an average tone. There's lots of little things happening in there, by the way, as you can see. Not too concerned about that. We can modify things left and right, back and forth. A lot of color happening in here. It's like I can see like 15 things at once, and I just have to pick which one to do next. It's always something crazy to change. So we just kind of do the things that we want to do first, second, and third. A little bit darker. Mm-hmm. A little blue. Right. There, it's going to be here. Value is most important. Value is most important. And try not to let the surroundings affect too much because they might not be right. I'm really gauging it off of the white here is what I'm trying to do. Blue. Brown. And let's dive in here for the face. Red, yellow. This will all start coming together and making sense soon. I'm just sort of seeing it in my head. And following that path. Darker, 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 darker. Trying to peripherally see everything. It's the only way to see true color. Good. A couple of these nice lights in. Value first, value first. Always value first. Lots of paint. I'm using a lot of paint. Good. Peripherally judging distances and angles and all of these things.
Are you still using the medium?
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Good. The paint's dried quite a bit since the first day.
Does that pose any issue at all?
No. It's kind of nice, actually. I don't mind it just because I can sort of do dry brushy work on top of it. It doesn't get stuck with the stuff I'm doing. I very much like it. And of course, like if I just look at this and stop myself and say, oh my God, what am I doing? This looks crazy. This looks terrible. You're on the path and it's getting there. And we can start to see how that's working. Trust it. Trust it. Good. Kind of trying to, sometimes I'm doing a full solid stroke, and a lot of times I'm doing like dry brush strokes, just sort of hints and suggestions. There it is. There it is. Big shapes. You find the angles of these big shapes. Everything's just angles. Yes. Good. Just seeing this almost as like little bits of patchwork. And I do not mind if the proportions are completely off. Although I'm thinking about proportions, I don't want to sacrifice something else. If the proportions are off because of that, that's fine. It's most important that I get this right with value. I can always move them around. There we go. Good. Now let's dive in here with some darker color. Get our values right. With these darks in here. Well, that comes down a little bit. All right. Good. Are you guys seeing how this makes sense? Yes?
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So advanced nudging.
Yeah.
Nudging.
Let's bring some more blue into this. I know it's not the easiest thing to sit here and watch me noodle away. This stuff is going to be
That's really easy.
a touch exhausting.
It's great.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Value, simplification. There are even times when I'm putting strokes on that I'm still not tunnel visioning. I'm just peripheral visioning everything and just like trying to get close in my head to where this goes. It's almost like you're painting everything in peripheral vision. It's the only way to really see it. I'll worry about the exact edge work in a moment. Good, we just gotta fix that up top there. How are we doing on time?
Just go to 3 o'clock.
Is that good or is that,
That's
I don't
fine.
know.
She just
Oh, we have an
said
hour.
The lady would come in and take orders for tea and coffee, I think.
Ah, right. I remember the,
Till 4, well, we've got to clear out at 4.
I remember the term 3, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's just
I don't remember what I'm supposed to be doing. Good. Now I'm noticing in this whole thing, this value is slightly brighter than that value. Well, we gotta fix that. What value is it? I don't know. What value is it supposed to be? Well, we just gotta mix something up that I'm imagining is right. That's gonna be probably too dark. Yep, too dark. So let's just use some, I don't know, orangey stuff. That's more correct, but the color is wrong.
Once you've got values in though, and this kind of stage is done, would you find yourself overpainting nearly the entire work that you've done?
Well, what I like to do, if the value is correct, what it's kind of nice is to modify, this is a fun little trick too, is to modify the color with the correct color. But think about this. Oh, it's like a scale, right? If you have the right value, then you're set. Any color can exist, but you want more natural color. So then what you do is, to balance the scale, let's imagine you put 2 pounds on the left, and that's incorrect. Therefore, you need to modify that by going the opposite way with the, like we're trying to find, it's like if it's red, yellow, blue, it's mostly red with yellow, blue. Well, I can technically put yellow, blue directly on there, and then add extra amount of red and dry brush over that without covering it up so that the effect together comes together as the appropriate amount. But when you get up close, you're still seeing the wrong color mixed with too much of the right color. But it comes together as a balance. Does that make sense? I don't know how to explain that. It's impressionism. Because technically all this is here, as this is little rocks. There's just a lot of red rocks, a few blue rocks, and a tiny touch of yellow rocks. Well, in that way, I mean, I can kind of do anything. You can put, you sort of break it apart more. I don't mind if the colors are a little bit off, as long as I've peppered in too much of the right color next to it to overwhelm it.
Okay, yeah.
I don't, there's probably a better way to explain that. I don't know how to say it.
We can say you're just painting rocks.
Just little rocks.
Oh, dead easy.
Some people love using glazes. You seem more direct. Do you ever use like glazes and stuff?
Not necessarily. I do like dry brushing, and I will show you what I do like to do also soon, which is fun. It's another little painting trick that I haven't shown you guys yet. I've kind of touched on it a minute ago, but I'll wait for that just for a moment. So hold on to that thought. Nope, wrong value. You see that, wrong value. Let's find the value. Still the wrong value. These values are the same here. There's no difference. So we just mix up something dark until we get it. That's it. Dry brushing. Now, of course, I see lots of different colors in there. I don't care about that right now. We'll find those in a minute. Let's get our values first. All right. We're getting there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And yes, this is sort of the first stage of almost like this is the block in what I would get to if I had a blank canvas. Once we pass this stage of laying down our foundation of value and overall color is when we start getting precise and dialing in. I'm already liking the attitude happening here though of the other day, so it feels, there's more of a story in it.
Yeah.
Just a little more of a story, and I like that.
At the end of that day, she will be.
Yeah.
know, she
She's been
will.
at the same look on her face.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, she will.
All right, so follow me here. We're gonna come back in. Let's see if we can get some nice dry brush background effects here. God, this is so much easier without having to battle the outdoor elements. The wind blowing everything. Sun's changing in and out. Can't see anything.
You can see why you like this set of brushes.
Oh God, all right, yeah. Can I say something? And this is not for those of you who are using my set, but walking around even yesterday with your setup, a lot of people have, some people just have your own brushes, whatever, and obviously it's not, brushes aren't free, but there's no way to paint a finished good painting with some of the brush sets that you guys have. It's not possible, especially when you're trying to do this detail work and you've got this, I don't mean all these, I can't use an example here, but it's like this, you use these short little stubby brushes that are all hard and you're trying to work on like eye things. It's impossible. It's like playing the piano with boxing gloves on. And I say all that to say that, find good quality brushes. And don't be afraid to use them. Even some people, God, somebody, I'm not being hard on you guys, but it was funny, somebody had like an entire set of the right brushes, but they were all in the bag in the bottom and you were using something else. And it's like, know that you buy them to use them. It does matter. Brushes matter more than paint matters, by the way.
Are you very heavy on the wear of these brushes?
Yes,
So
and
how often do
just
you-
buy more, get more, lots and lots and lots of brushes. Lots of brushes. It does matter. Brushes actually matter more than paint matters. You could paint with whatever. Give me a coffee cup with weird coffee grounds and some mud and some red stuff, and you can make a good painting with the right brushes. This is very, very, very true. A little more dry brushing here. I like dry brushing because it creates this speckly textures. Really like that. Value is everything though. Value, 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 value. Where's my value wrong? Where's it right? Don't get caught up in color too much until you know the value's right. Good. Obviously, you can tell it's wrong in some places, it's right in some places, but we're just sneaking up on it here. So I'm doing this too. I'm working on this area and peripherally looking at that and this to give myself a break from the head. Barely kissing the surface with this paintbrush. A lot of thick paint on here, but I'm just barely touching it.
balancing between peripheral and
Absolutely.
focus.
After every few strokes, I'm just checking everything peripherally.
But do you need some of that tunnel vision there to get some of the shapes right?
When I'm in here, I'm using tunnel vision as I'm making a few strokes, and then I bounce back mentally to see it in peripheral. And also then bouncing back from also this area to the full face to make sure everything's happening the way it's supposed to. So it's a constant back and forth and back and forth. Trying to feather some edges in here too while I'm working. Dry brush.
So since the values are established, would you say these adjustments are more color?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Being specific now with pushing things over, moving things up, modifying values. Now I'm thinking a little more color and then edge and then proportion at the same time too, because my value structure is pretty close on this now. Absolutely. So a lot of edge work happening in here now. And moving shapes. Edge and moving things around. Soft, soft, everything's soft.
So, I mean, this is I suppose, a silly question for portraits of females. But, I mean, obviously you're doing some cosmetic surgery of your own in some way, like you're leaving out certain things.
I suppose,
to make
sure.
More appealing.
Well, it's more clear, it's clear to what I see her attitude, less than what she actually looks like. It's more of what's her attitude.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, I'm eliminating distractions. So, I mean...
Like the lines on the side of the cheek or the...
Yeah, some things, like the little line here actually amplifies a sort of upset anger. Now, if I eliminate that, then it changes her attitude. I want the attitude to be something that I'm trying to get across, not that. That would be a distraction. So in this way, absolutely. I don't like to, you have to be careful though to use like certain terms. It's not like, or it's not making it look better or more pleasant in a way. I guess it could, but I could also play things up to make it feel a little less pleasant, a little more tension. Soft, soft, everything's soft edge.
And would you approach a male figure?
Exactly the same.
You'd approach it the same way?
Same concepts.
by contrast images like that, or more rate constrained?
I do a little both. Just depends on the mood. Okay, now we're working our way down here. Too hard. Soften that up a little bit. Okay. Definitely darker there. We'll bring this down in a moment. Okay, let's double check here what we're doing. Our color's gonna have to modify just a touch, but I'm trying to make sure our proportion and our values are right. There's still some surgery to be done. Wow, our light's shifting a little bit back and forth. There it is. So this is all sort of dry brush work. Lighter, lighter, lighter. Pull that down a little bit. connecting everything to everything else. Good. Let's pull out some nice clean color. Let's cover up some of that little splotchy stuff with the tiny brushes and make it one simple stroke. Ooh, there's the brush. I like this one.
When you're working on larger studio pieces, do you ever pre-mix the color at all? Or you every time you mix as you go?
Not really, pretty much mixing it as I'm going. Maybe pre-mix something for preliminary wash of some kind. Just pre-mix something that I know I want the entire thing to be keyed off of like a certain type of grayish something. Pre-mix it and then paint it everywhere so I'm not constantly having to mix it if I run out of color. But other than that, no. Splay this brush out. Run everything into everything else. It's the edge work.
Is that what you mean when you're saying connect everything to everything else? Is how edges connect with each other?
Exactly that. especially with edges.
I'm really glad you said that about displaying the edges of the brushes as well, because I think sometimes because I'm too shy with the brushes, like almost not scared of it, but scared of like ruining them or so.
I thought I'd
Absolutely.
mine yesterday, and when he came along, he said that was perfect. That's how he likes them. didn't he?
Yes, yes,
Squashed it in.
yes. It's really the only way to use them.
Yeah, but I think it's more difficult not to now that you've
Yes.
shown me that. Really.
Without doing it that way, you're actually not taking advantage of the brush. Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there slowly.
We had quite a chat with Rosemary over lunch about the care of the brushes.
Well, once I've done all of this, then you can clean them appropriately in the right way so you can still use them. But even if I can't, you just buy more and use these as nice little props in the studio. Every time you're softening edges, though, you have to be careful not to lose sight of, every time you soften an edge, you're actually sometimes modifying value accidentally. So remember to come back in and peripherally check your values.
You got any tips for hair?
Hair is just shapes. Shapes, so it's shapes, and it's very much edge work, actually. Don't see it as hair, see it as little triangles where there's a hard edge somewhere, then it goes off to softness, and then somewhere else there's a hard edge that goes off to softness. Just like this little area. Hard edge here, and then goes off to softness. Little triangle point there, hard edge goes off to softness. Triangle there, black goes off to softness. And you kind of pinpoint areas that you want to highlight, like what's the essence of the hair. Oh, so much to do. I'm kind of adding and blending, and then adding and blending. Now look, we're going to use the transition and soften this slightly, but with a color. Yeah, it's some kind of,
Transitional it looks like.
yeah, we're going to just soften that with a transition. So not just soften the edge, but soften it with a color. Because when I blended that edge, it created a color. It was the wrong color. So that would be an example of a little transition there. Same color is happening up in here. You can see where else is happening, and that's where you put it. Same thing's happening when I blended this. It goes kind of colder, so we hit that corner, the edge, with a color. Look at that. Hit it with a color.
And is it always a warm?
Nope, nope. It's always different.
But just obviously.
Just pay attention.
You can still see that blue, in the coat, the white of the coat against the background. It's so subtle, but it's just amazing.
That's how we get those. That's how we get it. Transitions. Here's a nice transition right in here.
I see like where you have the cool white on her nose, right next to it is like a blue. And then where it's the warm shadow is a warm transition. Is that just happening, or did you do that kind of like systematically?
Rephrase the question.
I noticed that in the cool white of her nose, I noticed that the shadow right there is blue-ish,
Mm-hmm.
from here at least.
Over here?
No, on the side as it goes down the side of her nose, of the bridge.
Oh, right here?
On the other side there, going down, yeah, right
Oh, right here, yeah. That's not necessarily correct. I just haven't got there yet.
Oh, okay.
When I'm actually glancing up, it's close, but it does many things. There's a transition on the inside of the shadow here that goes hot, warmer, reddish something, and then on the inside here, it's close on the inside. It's more so the outside that's not, the shadow side's not
So you're
quite
going
correct.
to follow your reference to help as much as possible?
Sure, yeah, I mean, I remember this too. You remember in the shadows, I just remember being very dark, but like this transparent oxide red with yellow in it. I don't know what color that is. Oh, yeah, we're getting there. Okay. There's so much to
Do
do.
you also bring in local color, like something onto the face that is close to the hair or something?
Yeah, you can sort of mix and match colors from everywhere. Like sometimes it's nice to steal colors from other areas of the painting and add them into the face to bring things together. That's one of those things I was saying, try to blend everything together as much as possible. Not to separate things too much. If I find colors in the backgrounds, maybe those colors in the background can be used in the face sometimes. I'm going to do a couple of bold things here too. Let's come back into the background and make a nice bold stroke. Lots of paint, big brush, and do like a, I will modify that, but I want just a nice big clean same thing up here.
Some of those lines to get some direction going somewhere else.
This is going to make the face pop a little bit more. And what does that mean? I'm pushing the value of the background as dark as it can go around the head so that the head glows. And then when I dive into the background, I can pull light back out of it. This is a good little area for that. Really dark area. Now the edge is incorrect, but I'm going to go and put this in first. This is also, in covering this area up, it's making it look like I did that in one stroke. But I'm doing it afterwards, as long as it looks in the end like it's bold. Mm-hmm. Then you can do some of this. Or something a little more fun.
I'm surprised to see you do that in your video because I'm like, wait, that's a watercolor technique.
Is it?
So,
that. Yes, we are on target here.
I remember from your charcoal drawings you did kind of that kind of technique as well.
Yes.
Really nice.
Bring these darks in here. Lightly, just lightly touching it. Fix that in a second. There's a glow there. Then we hit this color in here. Then we hit a highlight up here. Little test. Now it goes a little more bluish in there. Bring that back up.
Those strokes appear to be in the direction of the form as well.
Sometimes it works that way. That's just because everything around it maybe is not, or, you know, I don't really care about the form as much as I care about the directions of what's next to the strokes.
Say that again.
I don't care about what the form is doing. I might go with the form or against the form. It's not something I really care about, as long as I care more about what's happening with the strokes, like with the, like if I do a stroke this way over here, then I want something maybe over here with the form against the form, but it depends, like I have this big one going this way and a couple going this way. It's all about the direction of the strokes. Like the next stroke I do is dependent upon what stroke I did before. Sometimes they go with the form, sometimes they don't. Just get some blues in here.
Does that become almost impulsive that you will just see it how you want to put it on?
So you can deviate from what may or may not be there. There's little greens in there. And come back over and some little reds. A little darker. A little darker. Yes, a couple little things that I think are going to really help. My palette is all messy and I can't mix anything fresh. So we're going to move all this out of the way. Clean the palette. Little sort of lighter areas of the face in here. splay this brush out completely. So it's like using a larger brush. Let's pull that back out.
How does leaving the top portion of the painting white help you with the overall?
Up here?
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to put blue in there if I had enough time, where the sky comes in. There's no time. And before we finish this up, I'm going to do a couple more things here in the shadows. Some really really vibrant, brilliant blues happening in here. If I just do a couple of them, it'll make it sort of bump out as long as I don't overwhelm it, and I can still put the some opposite colors in there. I mean, this is what I was kind of talking about with how you know what to do with your transitions. Is if I go too far with blues, even though there's blues there, I can go the opposite with the other colors in there to sort of balance it back out. Meaning, I can come in with like some of these strokes, these colors. They go a little more opposite. And I've kind of mucked up this little area here by putting my finger on it, so I'm going to freshen it up a little bit with some really thick paint. Actually, we'll do a little trick like we did yesterday. Fun little trick. Titanium white. We don't always have to put things here to put things here. You can just put things straight on there.
That's why I have to buy some more today.
Yeah. Always have lots and lots of brushes and lots of paint.
Do you have it? I was just about to say, do you have it? I should be more patient.
Oh, yeah.
This is proof that you only need a small brush to make thick loopy marks, right?
Mm.
Was saving this nice, fresh, big, long flat.
What is it?
It's a number 12 Eclipse long flat. Saving that one.
Yes.
Keeping things looking all fresh. Looks like we did all of that in a couple of strokes, but we didn't. We're just kidding. I'm just playing. Oh, just a few more things. That's a good color. Very important.
3 minutes.
Oh, I got it. I got it. I got it.
No pressure or anything.
God.
He's going to put the bow final touches in.
Oh, darker. Carve that neck in just a touch. I like that. Let's just go straight from the tube. It's yellow, it's cadmium yellow. Well, it's actually cadmium yellow with, I don't know what that is. Just something over here. Just describe something. Cadmium orange. Straight from the tube. Ultramarine blue deep, a little bit of white. Alizarin. Straight from the tube. Transparent oxide red, straight from the tube. Ivory black.
She just keeps saying every time she wants it.
Whatever kind of green that is that I'm using, phthalo green. A little yellow, phthalo green, transparent oxide red. It's done now. Okay. Thank you, thank you.